Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been brutal. Lives lost, a nation shattered. Europe now finds itself in the crosshairs of Vladimir Putin, who has decided to stop delivering gas. Moscow has been accused of weaponizing energy. With winter approaching, countries like Germany need to find a way to keep the heat on. Canadian energy seems a logical solution to replacing natural gas. But with years of pipeline opposition and a focus on climate change, Canada doesn't have the infrastructure to ship natural gas across the Atlantic. Past political decisions that have left Europe out in the cold and at the mercy of a ruthless dictator. Before dawn on a cold February morning, Ukrainians woke up to a nightmare. The giant column of Russian tanks that had amassed around the country with thousands of soldiers threatening life and liberty were moving. Ukraine's borders were breached from 3 directions. While rockets rained down, a defiant Ukrainian president stood in the capital showing the world he and his inner circle were accounted for and in the country, unafraid of Russia and its so-called special operation. But the war on Ukraine is also a war on energy, needed to heat homes this winter in the war zone and right across Europe.
When the winter comes, Russia, who will targetedly destroy our critical infrastructure, the infrastructure which will conduct the heating services.
More than 1,000 kilometers of power lines have been destroyed and at least 20 substations shelled.
Because we are part of big...
Volodymyr Kredinsky says workers have managed to repair lines and keep cities under Ukrainian control connected.
Literally, we operated from the shelter and let's say 50%, 40% of the time. And we had to deal with unspeakable challenges.
To turn up the pressure on Ukraine and the rest of Europe, Moscow has shut down its main gas pipeline to Europe, just in time for winter.
What Putin has done is to launch a kind of kamikaze attack on the world economy. He believes that we will give up on Ukraine, give in to his aggression, and go back to mainlining his hydrocarbons. And I have to tell you, he is wrong.
It is an issue on everyone's mind across Europe and right up to the front lines of the war.
I hope we can find some solution for the energy crisis. Maybe Norway can help. They have a lot of gas and oil. America has a lot of gas and oil. But it will take a long time to transition from Russian oil.
How are you so reasonable about this? You're one of the guys who are on the line.
I know, but people will freeze to death.
To ensure they don't freeze, European countries are looking everywhere to try and find an alternative supply, including Canada. In Poland, difficult choices are being made to ramp up burning coal, despite the impacts that might have on global emissions. About 70% of Poland's electricity comes from coal. It's burnt at power plants just like this. So severing the relationship between Poland and Russia for energy is complex. And also, there's average citizens. About 3 million households in this country get their heat from coal. Heating a home in Poland this winter with coal is expected to cost at least 4 times more than it did last year.
It's more about what Russia did to Ukraine, and I think we will survive the prices, but so many people have died there.
A short flight from Warsaw, you'll find the world's biggest importer of Russian energy, Germany. The decision to shut down the Gazprom pipeline has put the entire country and the economy on edge.
In the news, the biggest problem is the gas and the energy. Not directly the war for the people, more the consequences for the Germans.
Inflation in Germany rose to its highest level in nearly 50 years in August. The rise driven mostly by increased energy prices. Germany's economy minister announced an early warning for his country's 83 million residents, saying citizens may be ordered to ration energy. On the streets, Germans are resigned to the idea of a tough winter. It could get more difficult and expensive, says this man, but it's necessary to put the aggressor in his place. In France, it's a similar story. Energy rationing has already begun. The lights of the Eiffel Tower will be turned off early to save power. French President Emmanuel Macron said the country was at a tipping point and is facing a new era of instability. Throughout much of the EU, the focus is on stretching gas supplies through the winter. Over the summer, the use of AC was restricted in Spain. Heating in swimming pools was turned down. Fearing the Russian gas freeze, Germany has spent months hunting for new sources of energy.
The people are used that they have electricity and gas all the time. There are no problem of supply. And for the first time, they realize it must not be forever. It can change.
50 Hertz is a transmission system operator for renewable power. Inside the company's control hub, you can see how it's linked European generators together to provide stability for everyone. So let's walk over this way. What's PSE, for example?
PSE, the transmission system operator of Poland, for example, and CEPS is Czech Republic.
But Germany and Europe can't replace all of what Russia provided with green power, at least not yet, sending the German chancellor to Canada looking for help.
We are taking a lot of investments to become independent of imports of gas from Russia.
We will do what we can to explore ways to see if it makes sense to export LNG, and if there's a business case for it, to export LNG directly to Europe.
For now, Germans will be waiting a long time for Canadian gas. The Liberal government scrapped plans for an LNG pipeline to the East Coast back in 2015.
Both sides want to expand their partnership.
A problem the German media were quick to point out.
He's on a shopping trip, but there's nothing here to buy.
Back in Europe, somehow the rhythm of life goes on. Most people are in tune with the goal of energy independence, if only they can all make it through the winter.
As I said, if we are brave and resolved to achieve this future.
Do you think Europeans will be brave?
I think yes.